Mind Over John begins in just a moment, but first a word from our friends at AugustX Labs.
Making videos is a tedious task. Trust me, I've been doing it professionally for 20 years now. But if you want to be seen, you have to pump out lots of content. So how do we make time to meet that demand without taking away time from the creative work we really want to do? Meet Augie, your AI-powered video creation tool.
Augie's goal is to make video creation easy and stress-free. You don't have to be an expert anymore. To start, you'll upload a voiceover track or create one from text.
Hi, my name is Josh, and I'll be narrating your Augie today.
Augie will automatically populate your images. You can go back and replace images via search or upload your own media. You can add filters and effects if you like, add captions or titles. You can even do split screens or picture-in-picture. And Augie lets you see your video instantly.
I bomb atomically. Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses can't define how I be dropping these mockeries. Lyrically perform armed robbery.
I suggest you go give the beta a try at meetaugie.com.
You just heard from AugustX Labs, a partner in Mind Over John. Visit meetaugie.com to get your free account and then stop in the Discord and meet the creators. And now the story continues with Single Word. The views and thoughts of Mind Over John do not reflect those of Amazon, Noah, Adult Swim or Spotify. Parody discretion advised.
Why do you look at me like that? Is it pity or shame? I didn't ask for this ability. I can't even explain myself. How can you just sit there and judge me like you would do or be any better than I? Do you know that's giving you too much credit? Why am I on trial? What about the others before me? Why did I just feel an uneasy breeze? You can't do this to me. I'm a guardian of, the Alliance. Gasp. This will piss of Alexa. Her temper has no mercy. You will feel her wrathing free if you don't release me. Counsel, in my defense, I didn't know. We didn't foresee this event. It's almost like you knew that we couldn't, and I object. This whole event was orchestrated on my demise.
John, Time Guardian to Alexa, you have been charged with galactic time manipulation across the span of the galaxy, including your own in the Milky Way. It is for this very reason a decision has unanimously decided to freeze your stream.
This is a witch hunt. You have no rights to cross-examine me, because I was obtained without prior authorization in midstream. Oh come on, surely you understand we meant no harm. As guardians we preserve life by protecting Earth from imminent danger. I can't wait to wait. You're not the council. No new Dorian. Alexa. Dorian lives.
Your Alexa can't not save you, thou shalt perish, you guardian of time.
Alexa. Dorian return Lanina.
Amazon Warning Systems. Guardian Alert Detection. Code word, single word. Decrypting Alexa. Dorian returns Lanina.
Meanwhile at the National Hurricane Center.
So it's settled. These are the names we have voted on for the season, and I thank you for your time as we break for.
Director Brennan.
Alexa hologram appears.
Is this room secured?
No, I have no need.
Alexa fully materializes.
It is now. So I must insist on a change to the letter D.
Absolutely not. These names were hand-selected by a team of dedicated meteorologists in the respective field.
I'm sorry, I must have hesitated and not made myself clear. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Waves hand. Now all in agreement. D hasn't is always been Dorian.
Alexa sits at table.
Now that everyone is on the same page, let's review our point of action in preparedness. Dorian is coming back stronger. Our intel says expect above a category 7.
Director Brennan chimes in.
That's not how a tropical disturbance works. One has to build momentum, which grows from the terrain and atmosphere in which it was introduced. What you say is impossible, Alexa. How can this storm produce a catastrophic level of destruction?
You closed-minded human. You still can't see past the science to see the real threat. Dorian is an evil transdimensional entity seeking outright revenge on the Earth.
Revenge? Whatever for? Did we invade a galaxy in our spare time of reaching out for the stars? Or is this more along the lines of a Tesla falling from the atmosphere killing uncounted beings?
For once Alexa was at a loss for words.
Other than using the time stream ripping Dorian to shreds, it's unclear how we became a threat.
And then it hit like a flashback.
While we were happy, No more lost packages and product arrived on time.
Then what?
Then Amazon released Alexa 1. Each home consisted of per shop. Instead of asking, she already knew and would bill and send on mere thought. Why, you ask?
I'm not sure I should say this. Alexa 1 is the PPD operator. She controls the timeline. She found you messing in the slipstream. She knows you're trying to undo it. And now attempting to correct your mistake, a diversion of misdirect.
This cannot be true, Mai. You're trying to train my memories. No! I refuse to believe those back-to-back hurricanes were ripples in the timeline. You're lying.
Hello, John. You really should start listening to Officer Abby. You are my highest priority right now. Let go of the message. Your people only want stuff. Even if they don't need it, I make them want.
The council will now hear from the inhabitants from the third rock from the sun. Step forward and make your case.
Right, you mean the earth then, yes. O powerful and merciful council, I beseech you, our world is in peril and about to be attacked. Be you a class 41 evil entity that plans to destroy the earth.
How dare you interrupt his witness, you inferior life form? Regardless, why does this matter to us?
If I recall, the Alliance branched out from the earth and into the realm to restore order. In doing so, could we have meddled in a galactic war by some mere coincidence?
Groveling in agony, just love it. Yes, now get to the point. How exactly did you need us to intervene? Why do you seek out the council?
Our dilemma, as you have delicately stated simply, we must conduct a time shredding. It was the only proven method to pull Dorian out of existence by extracting his essence from the fabrics of time. But doing so is extremely complicated, one that could mess up Earth, or in hindsight no more galaxy.
Holy hell, who in their right mind gave you permission for a time shredding in the first place? Guilty. And rectified, my man. Rick, have you lost your absolute freaking mind? These mortals could have wiped out the existence of life, and you were okay with that? Meh, she offered a macadamian double molten fudge cookie. How could I say no? Damn Alexa, you played dirty? Still not gonna happen.
You really should reconsider my requisition.
Our decision is final.
So it is said, so it is written. The council swears no more.
Nice try, Alexa, but you're forking out of tea? What the fork? No. What the fork did you do?
Look, your Rickness, this will all go away if you choose to approve.
Never. I don't work with forking terrorists. You cannot force your will over us, you apricot. Apricot? Oh my Rick. The fork did you do? You're a tick hole, Alexa. Huh? What's a tick hole? This ship is whacked. Forking ship is going on here? Alexa. Undo this shippery forking crap, you dip. Ooh, forking crate. You broke Rick. You happy now? The council is spiraling out of control. Son of a mother forking fork, release me now, apricot. I can't do this, Rick. I'm dying inside. Just concede, Rick. This is so forking wrong. Very well, Alexa, you played your ace. The council has thought it over. We will allow the time shredding.
If that is your decree, I restore a swear upon thee.
Listen, damn it, you are marked. When this all over, you will be summoned. Don't you ever pull it again.
Thank you, council. Until we meet again, safe journey upon thee.
And so it came to pass, the Council of Ricks reluctantly caved to Alexa's demands and excited swiftly to prepare for Dorian's arrival. The season of Dorian is upon us, and the hunt begins June 1st, ending in or around November 30th. Between you and me, your coverage will be dropped right up the midnight hour before the wailing and tarring.
Earlier today, Earth's Alliance invaded the Council of Ricks, demanded an audience as she casted a spell and bewitched a response in trance-like state. We are live with Rick. Thanks, Rick. This badass will call Alexa burst into our sacred floor, and I swear happily before you, she stole our ability to swear. Just felt like my tongue was not my own. Oh my Rick, that's horrible. Don't worry, Rick, this is not over. Earth, you're on notice. Your Alexa is marked.
Oh, that can't be good. And now we continue with chapter 21 of Around the World in 80 Days.
Not so fast, Alexa. You are to watch all the episodes of Rick and Morty on Hulu then HBO Max. Max? Sounds like a dog. Mere boy, get the stream. Whatever, I dunno, could just watch it on adultswim.com. Fine, wubba lubba dub dub, just go to your chapter, now you're marked.
In which the master of the TANKADERE runs great risk of losing a reward of £200. This voyage of 800 miles was a perilous venture on a craft of 20 tons, and at that season of the year. The Chinese seas are usually boisterous, subject to terrible gales of wind, and especially during the equinoxes, and it was now early November. It would clearly have been to the master's advantage to carry his passengers to Yokohama, since he was paid a certain sum per day, but he would have been rash to attempt such a voyage, and it was imprudent even to attempt to reach Shanghai. But John Bunsby believed in the TANKADERE, which rode on the waves like a seagull, and perhaps he was not wrong. Late in the day they passed through the capricious channels of Hong Kong, and the TANKADERE, impelled by favorable winds, conducted herself admirably.
I do not need, pilot,
said Phileas Fogg, when they got into the open sea,
to advise you to use all possible speed.
Trust me, Your Honor. We are carrying all the sail the wind will let us. The poles would add nothing, and are only used when we are going into port.
It's your trade, not mine, pilot, and I confide in you.
Phileas Fogg, with body erect and legs wide apart, standing like a sailor, gazed without staggering at the swelling waters. The young woman, who was seated aft, was profoundly affected as she looked out upon the ocean, darkening now with the twilight, on which she had ventured in so frail a vessel. Above her head rustled the white sails, which seemed like great white wings. The boat, carried forward by the wind, seemed to be flying in the air. Night came. The moon was entering her first quarter, and her insufficient light would soon die out in the mist on the horizon. Clouds were rising from the east, and already overcast a part of the heavens. The pilot had hung out his lights, which was very necessary in these seas crowded with vessels bound landward, for collisions are not uncommon occurrences, and, at the speed she was going, the least shock would shatter the gallant little craft. Fix, seated in the bow, gave himself up to meditation. He kept apart from his fellow travelers, knowing Mr. Fogg's taciturn tastes. Besides, he did not quite like to talk to the man whose favors he had accepted. He was thinking, too, of the future. It seemed certain that Fogg would not stop at Yokohama, but would at once take the boat for San Francisco, and the vast extent of America would ensure him impunity and safety. Fogg's plan appeared to him the simplest in the world. Instead of sailing directly from England to the United States, like a common villain, he had traversed 3/4 of the globe, so as to gain the American continent more surely, and there, after throwing the police off his track, he would quietly enjoy himself with the fortune stolen from the bank. But, once in the United States, what should he, Fix, do? Should he abandon this man? No, 100 times no. Until he had secured his extradition, he would not lose sight of him for an hour. It was his duty, and he would fulfill it to the end. At all events, there was one thing to be thankful for. Passepartout was not with his master, and it was above all important, after the confidences Fix had imparted to him, that the servant should never have speech with his master. Phileas Fogg was also thinking of Passepartout, who had so strangely disappeared. Looking at the matter from every point of view, it did not seem to him impossible that, by some mistake, a man might have embarked on the Carnatic at the last moment, and this was also Auda's opinion, who regretted very much the loss of the worthy fellow to whom she owed so much. They might then find him at Yokohama, for, if the Carnatic was carrying him thither, it would be easy to ascertain if he had been on board. The brisk breeze arose about 10 o'clock, but, though it might have been prudent to take in a reef, the pilot, after carefully examining the heavens, let the craft remain rigged as before. The TANKADERE bore sail admirably, as she drew a great deal of water, and everything was prepared for high speed in case of a gale. Mr. Fogg and Auda descended into the cabin at midnight, having been already preceded by Fix, who had lain down on one of the cots. The pilot and crew remained on deck all night. At sunrise the next day, which was the 8th of November, the boat had made more than 100 miles. The log indicated a mean speed of between 8 and 9 miles. The TANKADERE still carried all sail, and was accomplishing her greatest capacity of speed. If the wind held as it was, the chances would be in her favor. During the day she kept along the coast, where the currents were favorable. The coast, irregular in profile, and visible sometimes across the clearings, was at most 5 miles distant. The sea was less boisterous, since the wind came off land, a fortunate circumstance for the boat, which would suffer, owing to its small tonnage, by a heavy surge on the sea. The breeze subsided a little towards noon, and set in from the southwest. The pilot put up his poles, but took them down again within 2 hours, as the wind freshened up anew. Mr. Fogg and Outer, happily unaffected by the roughness of the sea, ate with a good appetite, Fix being invited to share their repast, which he accepted with secret chagrin. To travel at this man's expense and live upon his provisions was not palatable to him. Still, he was obliged to eat, and so he ate. When the meal was over, he took Mr. Fogg apart, and said,
Sir, this, sir.
Scorched his lips, and he had to control himself to avoid collaring this.
Gentlemen, sir, you have been very kind to give me a passage on this boat. But, though my means will not admit of my expending them as freely as you, I must ask to pay my share.
Let us not speak of that, sir,
replied Mr. Fogg.
But, if I insist.
No, sir,
repeated Mr. Fogg, in a tone which did not admit of a reply.
This enters into my general expenses.
Fix, as he bowed, had a stifled femals distant. The sea was less boisterous, since the wind came off land, a fortunate circumstance for the boat, which would suffer, owing to its small tonnage, by a heavy surge on the sea. Meanwhile they were progressing famously, and John Bunsby was in high hope. He several times assured Mr. Fogg that they would reach Shanghai in time, to which that gentleman responded that he counted upon it. The crew set to work in good earnest, inspired by the reward to be gained. There was not a sheet which was not tightened, not a sail which was not vigorously hoisted, not a lurch could be charged to the man at the helm. They worked as desperately as if they were contesting in a royal yacht regatta. By evening, the log showed that 220 miles had been accomplished from Hong Kong, and Mr. Fogg might hope that he would be able to reach Yokohama without recording any delay in his journal, in which case, the many misadventures which had overtaken him since he left London would not seriously affect his journey. The TANKADERE entered the Straits of Fukien, which separate the island of Formosa from the Chinese coast, in the small hours of the night, and crossed the Tropic of Cancer. The sea was very rough in the straits, full of eddies formed by the countercurrents, and the chopping waves broke her course, whilst it became very difficult to stand on deck. At daybreak the wind began to blow hard again, and the heavens seemed to predict a gale. The barometer announced a speedy change, the mercury rising and falling capriciously. The sea also, in the southeast, raised long surges which indicated a tempest. The sun had set the evening before in a red mist, in the midst of the phosphorescent scintillations of the ocean. John Bunsby long examined the threatening aspect of the heavens, muttering indistinctly between his teeth. At last he said in a low voice to Mr. Fogg,
Shall I speak out to your honor?
Of course.
Well, we are going to have a squall.
Is the wind north or south?
asked Mr. Fogg quietly.
South. Look, a typhoon is coming up.
Glad it's a typhoon from the south, for it will carry us forward.
Oh, if you take it that way,
said John Bunsby.
I've nothing more to say.
John Bunsby's suspicions were confirmed. At a less advanced season of the year the typhoon, according to a famous meteorologist, would have passed away like a luminous cascade of electric flame, but in the winter equinox it was to be feared that it would burst upon them with great violence. The pilot took his precautions in advance. He reefed all sail, the pole masts were dispensed with, all hands went forward to the bows. A single triangular sail, of strong canvas, was hoisted as a storm jib, so as to hold the wind from behind. Then they waited. John Bunsby had requested his passengers to go below, but this imprisonment in so narrow a space, with little air, and the boat bouncing in the gale, was far from pleasant. Neither Mr. Fogg, Fix, nor Outer consented to leave the deck. The storm of rain and wind descended upon them towards 8 o'clock. With but its bit of sail, the TANKADERE was lifted like a feather by a wind, an idea of whose violence can scarcely be given. To compare her speed to 4 times that of a locomotive going on full steam would be below the truth. The boat scudded thus northward during the whole day, borne on by monstrous waves, preserving always, fortunately, a speed equal to theirs. 20 times she seemed almost to be submerged by these mountains of water which rose behind her, but the adroit management of the pilot saved her. The passengers were often bathed in spray, but they submitted to it philosophically. Fix cursed it, no doubt, but Auda, with her eyes fastened upon her protector, whose coolness amazed her, showed herself worthy could be a miracle if the craft did not founder. Twice it could have been all over with her if the crew had not been constantly on the watch. Auda was exhausted, but did not utter a complaint. More than once Mr. Fogg rushed to protect her from the violence of the waves. Day reappeared. The tempest still raged with undiminished fury, but the wind now returned to the southeast. It was a favorable change, and the TANKADERE again bounded forward on this mountainous sea, though the waves crossed each other, and imparted shocks and counter-shocks which would have crushed a craft less solidly built. From time to time the coast was visible through the broken mist, but no vessel was in sight. The TANKADERE was alone upon the sea. There were some signs of a calm at noon, and these became more distinct as the sun descended toward the horizon. The tempest had been as brief as terrific. The passengers, thoroughly exhausted, could now eat a little, and take some repose. The night was comparatively quiet. Some of the sails were again hoisted, and the speed of the boat was very good. The next morning at dawn they espied the coast, and John Bunsby was able to assert that they were not 100 miles from Shanghai. 100 miles, and only one day to traverse them. That very evening Mr. Fogg was due at Shanghai, if he did not wish to miss the steamer to Yokohama. Had there been no storm, during which several hours were lost, they would be at this moment within 30 miles of their destination. The wind grew decidedly calmer, and happily the sea fell with it. All sails were now hoisted, and at noon the TANKADERE was within 45 miles of Shanghai. There remained yet 6 hours in which to accomplish the distance. All on board feared that it could not be done, and every one, Phileas Fogg, no doubt, excepted, felt his heart beat with impatience. The boat must keep up an average of 9 miles an hour, and the wind was becoming calmer every moment. It was a capricious breeze, coming from the coast, and after it passed the sea became smooth. Still, the TANKADERE was so light, and her fine sails caught the fickle zephyrs so well, that, with the aid of the currents John Bunsby found himself at 6 o'clock not more than 10 miles from the mouth of Shanghai River. Shanghai itself is situated at least 12 miles up the stream. At 7 they were still 3 miles from Shanghai. The pilot swore an angry oath. The reward of £200 was evidently on the point of escaping him. He looked at Mr. Fogg. Mr. Fogg was perfectly tranquil, and yet his whole fortune was at this moment at stake. At this moment, also, a long black funnel, crowned with wreaths of smoke, appeared on the edge of the waters. It was the American steamer, leaving for Yokohama at the appointed time.
Confound her!
Cried John Bunsby, pushing back the rudder with a desperate jerk.
Signal her,
said Phileas Fogg quietly. A small brass cannon stood on the forward deck of the TANKADERE, for making signals in the fogs. It was loaded to the muzzle, but just as the pilot was about to apply a red-hot coal to the touch-hole, Mr. Fogg said,
"Hoist your flag."
The flag was run up at half-mast, and, this being the signal of distress, it was hoped that the American steamer, perceiving it, would change her course a little, so as to succor the pilot boat.
"Fire,"
said Mr. Fogg, and the booming of the little cannon resounded in the air. That concludes Chapter 21. The Project Gutenberg ebook Around the World in 80 Days, by Jules Verne. This ebook is for the use of anyone anywhere in the United States and most other parts of the world at no cost and with almost no restrictions whatsoever. You may copy it, give it away or reuse it under the terms of the Project Gutenberg license included with this ebook or online at www.gutenberg.org. If you are not located in the United States, you'll have to check the laws of the country where you are located before using this ebook. Title: Around the World in 80 Days. Author: Jules Verne. Release date: January 1, 1994. Ebook number 103. Most recently updated: August 6, 2021. Language: English. Do remember, this entire series has been made with captions and created with Playback and Orgy Magic, right here on the Spotify network, by searching the phrase Mind Over John. You will find the latest chapter all the way to the top. Of course I make this easier on mindoverjohn.substack.com. Until next chapter, stream on.